Well, hello there, everyone, and welcome to Markhams Arkham, where today I will be talking about the 1978 animated film The Lord of the Rings, directed by Ralph Bakshi, and starring Christopher Guard, William Squire, Michael Scholes, and John Hurt. Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings sets the tone for a dreamlike, stylized envisioning of Tolkien's novels, which is why fans at the time may have been underwhelmed and the audience reaction was less than enthused. They were disappointed with Bakshi's vision and interpretation of the novel because they were looking for a straightforward fantasy adventure based more in realism, something believable enough to sink their teeth to. That's what creates the disconnect that allows the audience to enter the world of fantasy as reality. But instead, Bakshi delivered a fever dream. It seems his surreal, dreamlike, psychedelic approach to the interpretation of source material is something that audiences just weren't ready for in 1978. However, many films have since proven that this form of stylized filmmaking can achieve box office success. But Bakshi's Lord of the Rings did not. There just wasn't enough positive reception surrounding his particular adaptation. Most people remember Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings as unfinished, weird, and disappointing. But Bakshi wasn't trying to recreate Tolkien literally. He was translating Tolkien into a visual experience that borrowed from a variety of styles and inspiration. Comic books, underground art, rotoscope, expressionism, and psychedelic fantasy. He was using backlighting and dynamic shadows to create high contrast, not just visually, but also emotionally. The eerily beautiful execution etches itself into your mind and stays with you long after the film is finished. The rotoscoping, duotone overlays, comic book compositions, silhouettes, dramatic backlighting, and exaggerated shadows are what make the opening prologue alone so gorgeous. The surreal blending of animation with live actors done in that duotone style overlay was also unique to its time, and I would argue unique to Bakshi as well. No one seems to have delivered a film quite like Bakshi stylistically, even to this day. A great number of techniques used in this film have obviously had influence on later films like Natural Born Killers and Sin City, and many other later films have even embraced similar stylization rather than realism, because Bakshi demonstrated decades earlier how live-action imagery could merge with stylized graphic art to create something that exists somewhere between reality and illustration. Instead of realism, Bakshi paints mythology. Everything in it seems slightly unreal, which is one of the film's strengths. It's that Middle-earth doesn't feel like a real place. It feels like remembered history, folklore, a dream, or mythology, exactly how ancient legends should feel. However, many Tolkien fans wanted fidelity. Instead, they got Ralph Bakshi. His interpretation wasn't interested in photographing Middle-earth. It was interested in visualizing imagination. That disconnect probably explains much of the fan disappointment. Still, you have to give Bakshi some credit for remaining more loyal to the source material than Peter Jackson's adaptation. You see, it is Glorfindel who rescues Frodo after the Morgul wound and rides with him toward Rivendell. Bakshi keeps Glorfindel in the story, making his adaptation closer to Tolkien in that sequence. In Peter Jackson's films, that role is given to Arwen. So, was Ralph Bakshi simply making the wrong movie for 1978 audiences? Today, after decades of increasingly stylized fantasy and comic book filmmaking, his version feels less like a failed adaptation and more like an ambitious artistic interpretation that audiences just couldn't grasp at the time. Who knows? Maybe they'd be more ready for it now. But Bakshi wasn't merely adapting Tolkien, he was adapting the experience of reading Tolkien. And with that said, I do thank you all for being here. And if you enjoyed taking a second look at forgotten classics, underground cult films, and film history gone awry, then I invite you to subscribe, like, and hit that share button. It doesn't hurt, and it's free to do, because that's what this channel is all about. And tell all your friends and family about it. Tell Aragorn, Arwen, Bilbo, Frodo, Baragon, Burgle, Fredegar, Tom, Boromir, Miradoc, Barlaman, Celeborn, Denethor, Eladon, and Elrohir, Eomer, Eowyn, Faramir, Samwise Gamgee, Gamling, Gonburigan, Gildor, Gimli, Goldberry, Gollum, Gorbag, Glimbald, Gohir, Imrahil, Kamul, Legolas, Lugdush, Maher, Raleigh, Appledore, Sauron, Shagrat, Shelob, Saruman, Theoden, Adelar, Peregrine Took, Treebeard, Witch King, Grima, Gandalf, and all the goblins and elves and orcs and trolls and hobbits that you know. And when you're out there, don't breathe in the air. Make sure you stay safe and sane in these turbulent, crazy times. And until next time, peace.